Greetings, my friends. It is I, Dr. Jimmy, and tonight, while I lurk in the dark with my eyes glowing evilly, will be my latest house cocktail for Halloween Horror Nights 27. First, though, if I haven't made a video earlier, let's show off today's lovely t-shirt. This is one of Shelby Denham's wonderful designs. Hashtag Team Crocolion. That's a moot, or perhaps a meat. No one really knows how it was pronounced. The Egyptians didn't actually have vowels in their hieroglyphics. We had to kind of guess. We really only know some ideas based on Greek translations. And so we have a vague idea it was pronounced either amut or amit, but it might have been something else entirely. Yeah. But it was a female deity, a sort of demoness, part crocodile, part lion, part hippopotamus. Although the hippopotamus part wasn't seen in Tomb of the Ancients, because we only saw the front paws and the face, and the back paws and the posterior region was hippopotamus. But we only saw the lion part, rawr, and the croc part. So that's what the shirt's about. Tomb of the Ancients house last year, very nice. But this is not about last year's haunted houses. This is about this year's haunted houses. Of course, if it's midnight, is it midnight? Not quite. In 15 minutes or so, it'll be midnight, and that will make it Friday, and Halloween Horror Nights will be 3 weeks away. I imagine by the time I finish this video, it'll be 3 weeks to Horror Nights. 21 days. So, I imagine in the near future we'll get some more house revelations. In fact, everyone thought we were going to get house revelations this very day. We've got a whole bunch of other information. Merchandise revelations, nifty Eli Roth commercial revelations, more scary Singaporean icon revelations, all kinds of neat stuffs. Flying saucers crashing into Fisherman's Wharf. What a wonderful day for Horror Nights it was, except we did not get haunted house revelations. Oh no. But that might be coming very soon. So it's probably a good idea to make my next cocktail, the cocktail for Saw, the games of Jigsaw, out before the next revelation comes along. And I'm going to try to do that right now. And so I brought my little friend Billy with me. Hello, Billy. Ooh, yes. And Billy wants to ask you a question. Shall we play a game? You're thinking, no. He wants to ask you this question. Do you appreciate your life? Yes. Are you just wasting your life away on frivolous things? Theme parks, for example. Ooh, that cut close. No, do you really appreciate your life? That's the question Jigsaw wants to ask you. Well, here's an idea. What kind of cocktail can I come up with for Saw? That was difficult. I kept thinking about different ideas. Was there something like a buzzsaw, something that might, something that would be like a trap? What could it possibly be? I was thinking, my mind kept coming back to one of the most primary images of the whole Saw franchise. After all, the house Saw, the games of Jigsaw, is based on all 8 films of the Saw franchise, including the upcoming Jigsaw, which won't be released until October, during the event itself, I believe. But what could we make? But an image kept popping up, and that was the pig mask that Jigsaw sometimes wore in the films, and his acolytes wore throughout the films. Of course, there's already a pig-faced creature in another haunted house this year, as so dramatically reflected in Eli Roth's wonderful commercial today. Well, that's because the commercial was for Hollywood and Orlando, and of course in Hollywood they're not doing Asylum and Coven, they're just doing Roanoke, so they have to focus entirely on Roanoke for the American Horror Story part of the commercial. That's why it's all Pigman. But he'll be featured at both parks quite a bit. So we have 2 competing Pigman houses. Except, I think there's a different reason for the Pigman in Saw. And I was thinking about that fact. that different reason altogether. Not just thinking about the pig, which always makes me go back to this ingredient, of course, but I was thinking about the pig, and I was thinking about why there's a pig in Saw in the first place. And if you remember, if you haven't, go back and watch the damn movies, but in Saw 4, it was in Saw 4 that the pig mask was finally explained. It wasn't just to represent guilt or something because it's corroding or what. No, it has to do with that whole idea of appreciating your life. And by coincidence, when he took his first victim after his wife had been assaulted, he took his first victim. It was during the Chinese New Year celebration, or Spring Festival is a better term for the Lunar New Year, Spring Festival, which is normally around February, but it can be a bit early in January or a bit later, depends on the year that year. For example, everyone thinks I'm born the year of the rabbit, but actually based on where that Xinyan Kuai Gung He Fat Chai, depending on whether you're speaking Mandarin or Cantonese, where it fell that year when I was born, I was actually born on the other side of it, so I'm actually the tiger, not rabbit. But that's neither here nor there. But you knew it would be some sort of cat. But getting back to the story, it was the year of the pig, you see. It was the year of the pig, and they were celebrating the year of the pig. And the pig in China represents fertility, but also represents pleasures, and of course the whole idea, because who enjoys their life more than a pig? A pig totally enjoys being alive. Utterly and totally loves being alive and all the pleasures that come with it. Pigs just live. That's the way. In a weird way, that's what Jigsaw wants us to be, like a pig. Not in a negative sense, but someone who really appreciates their life, isn't going to do something stupid like shoot up heroin. But a pig enjoys and appreciates the fact that they're alive all the time. So that's kind of what the pig is about. It has to do with that. And so I'm thinking about something to do with the pig and something to do with appreciating life. So I want a cocktail that you would appreciate because it tastes so good and it brings up, and I was thinking, what would be the best thing? And then I was thinking about China, and I was thinking about the year of the pig, and I was thinking, what do they eat in China that they really love? And this is true. I've been all over. I've been to Shanghai and Beijing and Xi'an and travel across the country, and one thing they have all kinds of different cuisines, in different parts of China. It's not all just the same Chinese food like you think. There's like really spicy stuff here and more noodles here and more dumplings. They have different specialties, but one thing, almost every meal I ever had in China, regardless of where in China I was, at the end of the meal, they serve melon. It's like their favorite thing, especially watermelons, but all kinds of melon. Melon is like the dessert of choice. And little cherry tomatoes, for some reason. They consider them fruit rather than vegetables, and they eat them like you might eat little orange pieces or something. They serve them with grapes and things, but melon always. And that's like a treat. That's the dessert of choice, apparently. They serve it all the time. There's always melon. So I'm thinking, okay. And it suddenly remembered something from a different part of the world altogether. Not China, but Italy. And in Italy, there's this wonderful dish with melon and pork, specifically prosciutto, the wonderful Italian ham. And it's wrapped around pieces of melon, and it's utterly delicious. You can think of it as sort of bacon and melon, although it's not really bacon, it's prosciutto. But if you're some parts of Europe, especially in Ireland and parts of old England back in the day before, where bacon originally meant any kind of salted pork. Any kind of salted pork. So actually not just the crispy stuff that we have for breakfast. So actually ham might have been called bacon back in that time before they started calling it ham, because ham actually came from other languages, jamon, Spanish, that sort of thing, French, and from Italian. But the older term refer to just pork that had been salted. And so there is a connection there. And so it occurred to me then that why can't I recreate that dish, that prosciutto e melone, that wonderful, delicious thing, scrumptious melon and pork together in a wonderful way, in the cocktail for Saul, because that would be lush and not quite decadent, but lush, and it would be something that would symbolize enjoying your life the way Jigsaw wants you to, and the pig mask, and the Chinese thing by having the melon. So I picked a rather Asian, although it's, you know, the name is Japanese, Midori, but it's still an Asian melon that is used in here, and the Japanese melons are not any different from the melons they have in China. Even says made from Japanese melons, but trust me, they're not any different from the melons in China. Beautiful, lovely, like honeydew. So let me pour that, you know, green. Here we are. Show you how it looks. I'm going to put that in here. That's going to be the main liquor in. I'm going to put it in. Let me move things about on the desk because I don't want to tip anything over. So going into the shaker. So that's good. And if I didn't show it to you before, here's the bottle. It's fairly common, Midori. It's got a texture like the lemon, like the melon peel, and it says here, it says made from Japanese melons or something. Yes, infused with Japanese melons, a melon liqueur, but it's actually made in Deerfield, Illinois, or someplace. All right. Then the second spirit is the bacon vodka, which I've used before. In the other haunted house, that had a big man in it. Oh, that's right, it has a cork, doesn't it? Get that out. So just a little bit, about half as much, I think could do. So put a little bit into the jigger, not too much, and then pour that into that. All right, having accomplished that. All right, put the cork back in the bottle, get it out of the way. So, it's that simple. Where's my strainer? Okay, that simple. So now, the shaking part. I really should get a lid for my cocktail shaker, the trick where you put a glass over it, but I just don't have a glass that fits quite right. So I have to do it side by side instead of up and down because I don't want to splash out of the top. But it still works pretty well. I'm going to shake it. And then we pour it into the martini. I had it chilled and it was all icy, but it took a few minutes to talk. And the chill already wore off because this back room was a little bit warm tonight. All right. Okay, so here it is. A green martini looking thing containing and just to add a little garnish, maraschino cherry, and as I've used before, of course, the Luxardo. Need a spoon for that. So here it is, cocktail for Saul. Very nice. Again, a liquid version of prosciutto e melone, the dish that serves like a melon, like green melon, or usually it's cantaloupe, but they use green melon as well, with wrapped in the prosciutto. And it does remind me of that, the melon flavors there. The bacon giving a similar flavor. It's not as strong because I didn't put as much in. Maybe I should have put a bit more of the bacon in. Next time I might make it more half and half, because the Midori is pretty stronger than I thought it would be. But it's not bad. The flavors work well, just like it does in the dish. It does remind me of that. It's quite pleasant, actually. And I don't feel like I'm trapped or anything, but I do feel like I appreciate my life. So that's good. So, lots of stuff has happened in the past week or so I would like to talk about. All the icons for Singapore were kind of leaked by deadjiggy.com. Fuller explanations come as they reveal more on the website with a bit more pictures and stuff. But Deadjiggy showed all 7 of them. And I'd like to talk about that. I think I'll make a video with all of them, going into more detail, perhaps some other time. Also, we've had a lot of revelations for Orlando, where we have found out all our scare zones and the other show besides Bill and Ted. So, competing with the very last Bill and Ted is the very second Academy of Villains show. So we have all of that to talk about as upcoming stuff. Of course, I'm sure people have already been looking that up, but I'll give my reaction to all that information in future videos, but not here because this is about the Soul Cocktail. But I do want to do that, and of course, eventually I'll be making, hopefully sooner than later, the next part of my History of Halloween Horror Nights 25, when I will talk about the Purge House. Of course, this year we have a Purge Scare Zone, which we were supposed to have last year, but it got cancelled after the events of the post nightclub shooting. At least that's what I've always heard. So, oh, that is not bad at all. Getting further down into it. I think there's still a bit more in the shaker, so let's pour out the rest of it. Just a tap. Okay, good. It wasn't like a whole second cocktail. It's just a little bit more, and doing quite well. Yes, the bacon flavor is coming through even stronger now, and it does evoke that dish I was talking about. So it worked quite well. I'm very pleased with it. It's a bit esoteric, I think. It doesn't quite evoke Saul directly, but you know, the reasons that I mentioned is why I came up with this. And I mean, how do you drink Saul anyway? I mean, it's like, doesn't quite lend yourself to a drink, trying to figure it out. Some of the others are a bit easier, and there should be 5 more house cocktails, 4 based on original houses, and they were teased quite a bit today, but we didn't see exactly what the originals are yet. Rumors exist. There's a whole list of what they're supposed to be floating around, actually posted in places like Horror Night Nightmares, where they have a whole map of where all the houses are supposed to be and what they're supposed to be, with names they think might be the names of the original houses. Hive, for example. I'm not sure it's called Hive, because that's the actual code name for the house. So why would the name of the house and the code name be exactly the same? That would be a dead giveaway, wouldn't it? Unless Hive is for a different house, which would be really weird. Don't use the code name for one house to be the actual name of a different one. Oh, but wait, now that I think of it, it could be because they came up with those code names before the house that they're calling Hive existed, because it was supposed to be something else called Ed. If that is what the code word was for. people thought they knew what all the code words were. They picked them up, of course, once they started figuring out how to get them. And then they started making guesses about what they were. And I sat back and watched. Maybe they were right, maybe they weren't. But I laughed when I saw people using the word hive as the name of a house. It might really be called that, but that made me laugh because it had been a code name for another house, or perhaps this one. I'm not quite certain. I do know one house changed from an IP to an original, and that's the house I believe that they're calling Hive. Whereas in Hollywood, it changed from one IP to another. If rumors are correct, it's an IP that's already in another house. That's kind of strange, making a redundancy. But from what I hear about altars of horror, that spreading it around might be quite a bit. We might have there's stuff in scare zones that's also in houses. And I'm still not certain if Purge, which is a scare zone, will also be in another house, which hasn't been announced yet, instead of something else, which would be, I think, lazy, because there's so much they could put in that house. If it's what it is that I've been hearing, and I have every inclination to believe it is so, from everything that's been rumored and a little bit leaks, because somebody, it's not supposed to go on display till next Wednesday, but people have already been seeing and photographing a certain standee for tickets for horror nights in a certain supermarket. So I don't know if it says anything about all the houses. It has Shining American Horror Story on the front. Maybe on the side or the back it mentions another one of the 5 IPs. The one that hasn't yet been announced, but from everything that's been buzzed about, it's a different code word, everything that's been buzzed about recently, it seems quite likely what that is. And it's not like everybody doesn't already know about it. Let's just say my next cocktail, or one of my next cocktails, depending on what they announce next, but if it's the next IP house, will probably feature prominently as an ingredient a certain brand of gin called Bloom. And I might make a lovely house cocktail with Bloom for a Bloom house cocktail. If you get what I mean, I think you do. There are probably a couple other ingredients in there. I don't know, maybe something a tad insidious and something a bit more sinister. But I wonder if there's anything about the purge for that particular haunted house, because that would be redundant with so much purge in the streets. And these altars of horror is only on little stands, little stages, and therefore, it's not like the whole damn zone. Just little exhibits of the little spotlights of people you'll see in some of the other houses. And you can get photos with certain people you just really can't stand and pose with, say, Jack Torrance. Getting a selfie with Jack Torrance wouldn't work in the Shining house, but you can do it in the street in this location. So I get that. I'm not sure I like it, but I get it. But we'll talk about altars of horror in a different video. But anyway, I'm coming down to the cherry now. Like I said, don't know what the next house announced. There are 4 original houses in that IP, which I've pretty much told you what I think it is. But we'll have to see. Who knows which one is going to be announced next? Because they have already released scenic design work from the 4 original houses today for all the elite show collectors, and they've been teasing it a bit with photos at Twitter earlier as well. And there's a pretty good chance they'll actually announce those 4 original houses soon, whatever soon means. Maybe tomorrow, I hope. But once they announce those, I have a suspicion they might announce the 4 originals all together at once first, and then the last haunted house to be announced will be the final IP. You know, the one I'll be making a Bloom house cocktail, right? If you get what I'm saying, and I think you do. That might be the last one announced for whatever reason, but at the same time, our friends in Burbank, California have 2 more haunted houses, one of which is probably the same as our last IP, and the other maybe also the same as our last IP, if what I hear is true, but I don't know for sure, because rumors sometimes are silly. They aren't always as accurate as that people like to think they are. And, you know, I try to stay out of that business, but, you know, the rumors have been flying all over the place, and you can't go out on the forums without being hit over the head with them, so it's not like this is information everybody hasn't heard already. Okay, that's it for this video. That was actually not bad. So, good night. Here's Billy. And somewhere running around the room is Lenny the cat, but she didn't show up. And that was my cocktail for Saul. So, always remember, if you enjoy my cocktails, to drink responsibly. Do not have any cocktails at all if you're under 21 years of age, because that's illegal. And I had nothing to do with it. If you disobeyed my edict to not drink if you're underage, I take no responsibility for naughty children who do bad things that I tell them not to. So I'm not the responsible adult in the room, sorry. You have parents, you have guardians, they're the ones who are supposed to take care of that shit, not me. Well, I told you not to, so you can't blame me. But those who are of age, drink responsibly. Do not operate motor cars, chainsaws, or attempt nuclear fission after having drunk one of my cocktails, because that would result in possible bodily harm. Yes, especially the nuclear fission. Alright, so you can just do regular fission. You can just go fishing and drink, that's fine, but no nuclear fission, because that would be boom. Alright, although... So, all that being said, ta-ta, see you later, and hopefully we'll get a new announcement so I can make another drink soon. Alright? Cheers.